can't make heads or tails of them. Are you telling me they're going to be able to read Arabic? They're going to be able to read Farsi? They're going to be able to understand what they're actually getting? And they're coming from war-torn nations and, frankly, cultures that have no compatibility with Western civilization. And you're expecting them to come here and fall right in line with America and freedom because, thank God, they're out of that place. When you can't even tell their true motives. I mean, come on already.
Well, let's start with refugees for a minute, since this is the topic. Let's talk a little bit about what a refugee actually is. Can we agree that a refugee is escaping something like war, natural disaster, something like that? And usually, if it's because of war, it's because we want to protect a minority group from being killed, tortured, maimed, whatever.
Or in the case of a natural disaster, there's no political action going on there, and it's everyone from a region that's been affected by something natural. Yes. I'll go along with you with that added to it.
So if anyone should be allowed to apply for refugee status and be vetted and then eventually granted some sort of refugee status in the United States, which I'm not even agreeing we should be doing at all, it should be the Christians in the Middle East who are being beheaded and burned alive, not Muslims of military age.
Agreed, but how do you tell the difference?
Well, that's why I said I don't even agree with they should be coming here to begin with. I agree with people on the right, including Donald Trump, who have said we should set up refugee camps there. Protected sites and zones there. And would it take boots on the ground? Yeah, it might. But you keep them there. We don't let them here, we keep them there.
There was a reason why Ellis Island was an island, Russ. It was away from the mainland. It was controlled by the government. And for that time, it was used for communicable diseases and for medical checks and backgrounds, things of that nature. If you could set up the same thing off mainland, where you can take the time to vet and allow people to be safe at the same time, and allow Americans to be safe simultaneously, why wouldn't that be a good thing? I think that would be a great thing to do.
Why would you allow military-aged males who should be fighting ISIS and dictatorships, if they truly wanted freedom and Western democracy and Western values, if they truly wanted that, why not let them stay there and fight for that? Why would we let them come here? Why? No one can answer that question.
And there are many who are staying there.
We're going to have 18-year-old to 40-year-old Muslim males coming this way on airplanes, and we're going to be sending 18-year-old to 40-year-old American males that way to fight ISIS. That makes absolutely no sense, and I oppose it.
I agree with you, and add to that once they get here, there's no real way to verify where they're going, who they're meeting with, and finding out what exactly they're all about. And so the first measure, the opening line of defense for our nation is bad, and the secondary lines aren't even thought about. That's the real problem. And even when they are vetted, like this woman who came and went to San Bernardino with her new husband, I'm not even dignifying names, Russ, and killed people after getting $28,000 sent to them from an unknown bank account. Now I have confidence in our vetting process. Now I have confidence in the people who are supposed to be watching those who were supposed to be coming here to harm us and kill us. Now I have a lot of confidence in the plan that President Obama set forth and not changing it in the face of such information. Whatever happened to, you get new information, you adjust, you adapt, and you move forward? President Obama is refusing to adapt. He's refusing to change with the changing of times. Listen, the same day that the Paris attacks happened, he said ISIS was contained. I mean,
there were no credible threats anymore, Gene.
There's no credible threats. We're getting news in our chat room. We're getting intelligence in our chat room that there's a credible threat against an American university in Washington, D.C. right now.
And if you're not worried, if you're not concerned about this, if you still think global warming is like number one, let me warn you about this one. I don't know how many people watch the news, follow what's going on, or even care, because I know Monday Night Football was yesterday, and that's what people mainly care about.
Your team's in 7th place, right?
I'm the one talking about that. So let's talk about the visa program just a little bit more. So we got these visas, Gene, where There are certain countries in the world where if you're a citizen of that country, you can come to our country with little or no vetting on a visa. And those countries include Belgium. Okay, now the France attacks. The coordinators and the people who carried it out, Muslims, from I assume the Middle East by way of Belgium, that became citizens of Belgium, and guess what they can get now? These high-speed visas to come to the United States without little to no checks. Now I know Speaker Ryan has said he's making a priority to change the law.
It's so hard to say that, isn't it, Speaker Ryan?
I don't know what's up with the beard. Listen, shave, Mr. Speaker. I don't know what you're doing.
November's over.
Listen,
please.
You're turning into Al Gore. Stop it. But these visas have to be stopped. And I think that the Democrats actually agree on this, and I think the president actually mentioned it.
I believe there was a vote this week in Congress, Russ, where they agreed to tighten up visas from certain countries. I don't think that Belgium was one of them, though, but it passed overwhelmingly in the House. I believe that only 19 congressmen opposed it.
But my
That's 19 too many, by the way.
And like this show, I'm going to do a lot of Trump defending here. And again, Trump is not my main guy, but I love him. Hold on before we go there, Gene. So the point I want to make is I don't like half measures. You know this about me.
Oh, absolutely right.
So if we're going to talk about stopping visas, now what are we worried about with these visas, Gene? What are we worried about? Are we worried about an Irish Catholic coming here on a visa easily?
We haven't worried about Irish Catholics since the IRA.
So who are we worried about, Gene, with these visas?
I think we're worried about people coming from the Middle East, specifically Muslims coming from the Middle East.
By way of Europe.
By way of anywhere, but especially by way of Europe.
Okay, so this is a half measure. We're not going to admit that that's what we're really afraid of. But when Donald Trump says something like, let's put a moratorium on all Muslims coming into this country, he's insane. He's over the top. He's saying what everybody believes and thinks, but no one has the balls to say.
Even Rand Paul, as you heard in the clip, he wants that as well. And when have you ever heard Rand Paul and Donald Trump agree on something? Listen, Donald Trump may have said it inartfully. He may have said it in a nonchalant, New York-styled rant. But he's saying moratorium just like Rand Paul is intellectually saying moratorium.
I mean, if Trump has a downfall, he's unscripted. Okay, so you try to talk for an hour or two unscripted and see how many, politically incorrect things come out of your mouth when you're a real person and not a cardboard cutout like Jeb Bush.
The one thing we haven't hit on is in our chat room at www.behindenemylinesradio.us. Click on the Listen Live button. We're in there right now. One of the things coming into the chat room is this idea of taqiyya that's in the Muslim faith, that's in the radicalized Muslim faith especially, that you're encouraged to lie. When you're in jihad, you're encouraged to lie about who you are, where you come from. You're encouraged to lie about everything. So, of course, someone coming from Belgium, a Muslim male coming to the United States by way of Belgium, saying, yes, I'm westernized, I'm this, I'm that. That could be true, it could be false. We have no way of knowing. That's the problem, the unknown. And we're going to get into it after the break with what Donald Trump has to say. If you notice, we left Trump out of that first clip. He's coming in a second clip, guys. When we come back from break, we're going to be talking about the stark contrast, the dichotomy between what President Obama said and what Donald Trump said on the same topics. And boy, oh boy, are you going to... Listen, I'm not a Trump fan. I love what he says. It's the perfect way to show the difference between what Obama's willing to do and what we should be willing to do as a nation. Gene and Russ, Behind Enemy Lines. We'll be back right after these brief words.
We may be surrounded. We may be outnumbered. We may be outgunned. But we'll never, ever stop the fight. Not while we're behind enemy lines. Fridays at 2 p.m. on WNJC, part of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network.
I'm Vito.
And I'm Vito, and we're from WNJC's The Vito and Vito Show.
Every Friday at 1 p.m., you can hear Vito and Vito bring you the perspectives of two college-age millennial conservatives who are committed to defending the principles of free markets, liberty, freedom, and individualism from Brooklyn, New York.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Vito and Vito Show, and check out our blog posts and articles at vitoandvito.com.
Vito and Vito Show every Friday, 1 p.m. on WNJC 1360 660 AM, Philadelphia's Renaissance Station. In Brooklyn,
It's nothing but the truth.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of.
Your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
There's a movement in healthcare today. It's a movement of people that's ready to stand up and take charge of their healthcare. It's people like you and me who are tired of paying too much for healthcare and getting too little. People who are standing up for their values and letting their conscience make decisions based on timeless principles. It's a movement that's sweeping the nation, and you need to be a part of it. Liberty HealthShare is leading the movement of people who are looking for an alternative to traditional health insurance. Liberty HealthShare is a healthcare sharing organization of people who are sharing the cost of healthcare in an easy and efficient way. Choose your own doctor, your own hospital, and live out your values in healthcare. Join the movement. Together, we're changing healthcare for good. Go to www.joinlhs.com or call 800-722-8041. Gene and Russ, back behind enemy lines. And Russ, we've been talking about President Obama's address regarding San Bernardino, the war on ISIL, whatever he wants to call it. And
How condescending is that, by the way? That he still calls it ISIL when no one else does. Not even ISIS themselves.
It's true. And I didn't really think about that. But how arrogant is it to, like we said earlier, not change with the times, insist that your way is the right way, and claim that your way is the smart way and the most efficient way when you started out by saying, oh yeah, they're the JV team, they're not going to really do anything. And yet your own intelligence briefings and your joint task force on terror is telling you this is a big deal, this is going to spread, and we could be in trouble if we don't do anything about it. How arrogant is that? How audacious is that?
That's the audacity right there. I love it.
And yet Donald Trump is the one that is being lambasted in the press, in mainstream media.
Behind enemy lines.
No.
Buffoon of the year, but we'll go there later.
There's a reason for that. But how audacious. He's the one that's getting the blame and the name, while Obama is just walking away and doing whatever the hell he wants.
And when we talk about, this gets thrown at Donald Trump a lot. He says these crazy things, but he has no solutions, no details. Well, we're going to play some clips of what his solutions are, and we're going to juxtapose those with some of Barack Obama and his administration's solutions.
You know, I wonder, did JFK have the details down when he said we're going to go to the moon? Did Ronald Reagan have the details down when he said we're going to build a missile defense barrier in space? Did they have details when they said it?
I didn't see the plans.
I doubt they had the plans when they said it. But what they did have is the vision to go out there and put it out there, put their asses on the line, and then have good people who know what they're doing fill in all the blanks, dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and make what they said credible. That's the thing about great men. Great men have bold visions, and then are able to find the people to back it up.
And they're not women.
Wow,
I'm just throwing it out there.
Come on,
and they're not women. All right.
I made this great point. You had to do that too. Come on.
I just want to ask our listeners before we play this clip, while it's playing, please listen to it all, and you tell me, because I know you have strong feelings one way or the other about the Donald. You tell me at the end of this who you feel safer with in the White House.
These are the same folks oftentimes who suggest that they're so tough that just talking to Putin or staring down ISIL or using some additional rhetoric somehow is going to solve the problems out there. But apparently they're scared of